everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be cracking open James Allen's As a Man Thinketh.
Oh, yeah.
So this book is all about how our thoughts shape our reality, our character, our circumstances, everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever, caught yourself feeling like your thoughts are running the show? Or, wondered if there's a link between what you think and what you actually experience in life? So if you've ever thought about that, then this deep dive is going to be really interesting for you. Buckle up, because we're going to give you a whole new perspective on the power of your mind. And I have to admit, I was a bit skeptical at first when I first heard about this, but I have a feeling that you're going to completely change my mind about this.
Well, Allen's work has resonated with people for over a century now.
Yeah.
And for a good reason. There's a real depth to this idea that we are what we think. It's not just some feel-good affirmation.
Right.
He really digs deep into how our thoughts are like seeds that blossom into actions and eventually bear the fruit of our experiences.
I love that analogy. It really makes me think about how I'm spending my mental energy,
Mm-hmm.
So the book starts out with this line. It says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." It sounds simple enough, but what does that actually mean in a practical sense?
It means recognizing that we have the power to choose the kind of person we want to be.
Okay.
Allen argues that whether we develop a noble character or one that is, as he puts it, bestial, it all boils down to our consistent patterns of thinking. So the really powerful message of personal responsibility.
Yeah.
That we're not just puppets of fate.
Yeah.
We're actively shaping who we become through our thoughts.
Wow, that's a lot to take in. It really makes me think about all the times I've blamed my circumstances for my unhappiness. But if our thoughts are so crucial, how do we actually start to change them?
Well, Allen uses this great analogy of a garden. He says that our minds are like gardens.
Okay.
That we can either cultivate carefully or let run wild. And the state of our minds, just like a garden, directly reflects our care and attention.
Okay, so I see where you're going with this. So if we're constantly planting seeds of negativity and doubt and fear,
Yeah.
then we can't really expect to have this flourishing and joyful mental garden, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
just like with a real garden, we have to be proactive about weeding out those negative thoughts and replacing them with more positive and constructive ones.
Yeah.
It's not about denying reality or pretending that everything's perfect. It's more about choosing where we focus our attention.
Okay, so I'm picturing myself in my mental garden, pulling out these weeds I'm not good enough or I'll never achieve my goals.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of positive seeds should I be planting instead?
Well, that's where it gets interesting. Allen suggests focusing on thoughts of self-belief, courage, and kindness.
Okay.
Think about the qualities you admire in others and start nurturing those same qualities within yourself through your thoughts. Imagine planting seeds of I am capable, I am worthy, and I am resilient.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about our circumstances? Let's say I'm struggling financially and I'm constantly worrying about money. How can simply changing my thoughts make a real difference in my actual situation?
Well, Allen argues that our circumstances are often a reflection of our inner state. He gives some pretty powerful examples in the book. He talks about the poor man who deceives his employer, believing that his low wages justify his dishonesty. There's also the wealthy man who suffers from illness because of his gluttony, but refuses to change his habits. And then there's the employer who underpays his workers, thinking it's the only way to greater profits. In each case, their thoughts are directly contributing to their circumstances.
Whoa, those examples really hit home. It's like they're trapped in this cycle of negative thinking and negative experiences. If that's the case, doesn't that make it even harder to break free? I mean, if my reality is shaped by my thoughts, and my reality is pretty bleak right now, how do I escape that cycle?
That's where the power of taking responsibility comes in. Instead of blaming our external factors, Allen encourages us to recognize how our thoughts might be contributing to our situation. He uses this fascinating metaphor of a kaleidoscope. Our thoughts are constantly shifting,
Okay.
creating these ever-changing patterns of our lives.
That's a really cool image. So it's not about pretending that everything is rosy. It's about understanding that we have more power to influence our reality than we might realize. But how far does this power actually go? Can our thoughts impact our physical health too?
This is where it gets really fascinating. Allen suggests that the body is very much a servant to the mind, reflecting our thoughts through our health. He goes as far as to say that fear and anxiety can be just as deadly as a physical bullet.
Wow, that's intense. So we're not just talking about having a positive mental attitude. We're talking about a potential impact on our physical well-being. This makes me think about all the times I've just let stress get the best of me. But are there any more uplifting examples in the book? This is all starting to feel a bit heavy.
Absolutely. So to counter those darker examples, he talks about a 96-year-old woman with a remarkably youthful face, radiating joy and peace.
Wow.
It all comes back to the garden analogy. A mind filled with sunshine naturally creates a radiant body.
Okay, so it's not just about weeding out the negative, it's also about actively planting those positive seeds.
Right.
It's almost like our thoughts have this ripple effect influencing our minds, our bodies, and maybe even the world around us. It's all starting to make a lot more sense now.
And that brings us to one of the most important aspects of harnessing the power of thought, and that's purpose.
Oh.
Alan stresses the importance of linking our thoughts to a clear purpose, to avoid feeling lost or aimless. He even compares it to physical training.
Okay.
Just as we strengthen our bodies through focused effort, we can strengthen our minds by directing our thoughts toward a specific goal.
So it's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Right.
We need to have a direction, a reason behind those thoughts.
Exactly.
It's like having a destination in mind before setting off on a journey. I can see how lacking that sense of purpose could just make it easier to get sidetracked by doubts and fears and things like that.
Absolutely. When we have a clear purpose, it acts like a compass, guiding our thoughts and our actions. It helps us overcome, worries, fears, that tendency to wallow in self-pity, all those things that can drain our energy and keep us stuck.
I'm starting to see how all these ideas are interconnected. Our thoughts create our reality, but our thoughts are also influenced by our purpose or lack thereof. It's like a feedback loop.
It is.
So how does this idea of purpose tie into actually achieving our goals? Does Alan think that we can just think our way to success?
Well, he's definitely not advocating for wishful thinking. Alan emphasizes that achievement in any area of life is a direct result of our thoughts. But it's not a passive process. He makes a clear distinction between simply daydreaming about success and actively aligning our thoughts with our desired outcome.
So it's about having that focused intention.
Yeah.
But what about the role of hard work and effort? It seems like Alan is putting so much emphasis on the power of thought. But doesn't that diminish the importance of actually taking action?
It's not about one or the other. It's about this synergy between thought and action.
Okay.
He uses a powerful analogy of a ship navigating a storm. We are the masters of our thoughts, capable of calming the storms within. But we also have to be actively steering the ship.
I love that analogy. It reminds us that we have the power to choose our course even when things feel chaotic. But even with the best intentions and the most focused thoughts, we're bound to face setbacks and challenges along the way. So how does Alan address that?
Well, he's very realistic about the fact that the path to achievement is rarely smooth sailing. He even says that the greater the goal, the greater the sacrifice required. But he emphasizes that the universe doesn't favor negativity. It supports honesty, virtue, and dedicated effort.
Okay, so it's not about avoiding challenges altogether. It's about approaching them with the right mindset.
Exactly.
It sounds like Alan is challenging the idea that success is all about luck or being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly. He's advocating for a mindset that recognizes the power of our own choices and actions. He tells a really compelling story of an impoverished youth who dreamed of a better life, and through sheer determination and unwavering belief in his vision, ultimately achieved greatness.
That's really inspiring. It's a great reminder that our circumstances don't define us, our thoughts do. But what about maintaining those victories once we achieve them? It seems like it'd be really easy to slip back into old patterns of thinking, especially when faced with new challenges.
You've hit on a crucial point. Alan stresses the importance of vigilance. When it comes to maintaining those hard-won victories, he compares it to physical fitness.
Okay.
We don't just work out once and expect to stay in shape forever, right? It's an ongoing process of pushing ourselves, staying disciplined, and consistently making healthy choices.
So it's about applying that same principle of consistent effort to our mental fitness as well.
Exactly.
We have to be mindful of the thoughts we're feeding our minds and make a conscious effort to stay aligned with our goals.
And that brings us to one of the most captivating parts of Alan's work, the power of visions and ideals.
Okay.
He passionately argues that dreamers are the true saviors of the world, shaping the future with their bold visions.
I love that idea. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget to dream big. But is he just talking about those grand world-changing visions, or can this apply to our personal dreams and aspirations as well?
He covers both. He references historical figures like Columbus, who dared to dream of a new world and ultimately discovered it, and Copernicus, who envisioned a universe far grander than what was commonly believed. and revolutionized our understanding of the cosmos. But he also talks about the power of personal visions, those deeply held desires that drive us to achieve great things in our own lives.
So it's about believing in the power of our dreams.
Yes.
No matter how big or small they might seem. But it's not just about passively dreaming, is it? There's a call to action embedded in this idea, right?
Absolutely. He emphasizes that cherishing our visions and ideals leads to their realization, but only when coupled with purposeful action. It's that beautiful dance between envisioning the future we want and taking concrete steps to bring it into being.
It makes me think about all the times I've held myself back. Because of self-doubt or fear of failure, Alan seems to be challenging this notion that success is a matter of luck or circumstance, and placing the emphasis firmly on effort and focused thought.
You got it. He tells a captivating story of a young man who dreamed of escaping poverty, and through sheer grit and determination, achieved extraordinary success. It's a powerful reminder that our circumstances don't define us. Our thoughts do. If we believe in limitations, we'll inevitably be limited. But if we cultivate thoughts of possibility, we open ourselves up to a world of potential.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired, but it's one thing to talk about the power of thought, and it's another thing to actually shift our thinking in a more positive and productive direction. So how do we practically go about cultivating that sense of possibility?
It's a journey of self-discovery and self-mastery. And it begins with developing a deep understanding of serenity.
Serenity, it's a beautiful word.
Yeah.
But is it just about, like, being calm and peaceful all the time, or is there something more to it than that?
It's far more profound than simply maintaining a calm exterior. It's about mastering our inner world, recognizing that we have the power to choose our thoughts, and in doing so, choose the kind of reality we experience. He contrasts the serene person with those who are ruled by their emotions, constantly reacting to external events, rather than responding with intention.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions, it's about being in the driver's seat.
Yes.
Not letting our feelings dictate our actions or our outlook on life. It's about cultivating that inner strength that allows us to weather any storm.
Precisely. He uses that metaphor of a captain steering a ship through turbulent waters. We are the captains of our minds, and we can choose to navigate the challenges of life with calmness, clarity, and purpose.
I think this is something a lot of people struggle with. It's so easy to feel like we're just at the mercy of our emotions, especially when life throws those curveballs our way. It's been daunting to think about trying to master our thoughts to that degree.
Well, it's definitely a practice like anything else worth mastering. The more we cultivate self-awareness and work on understanding our own thought patterns, the more we can experience that inner peace and clarity, even amidst the chaos of life. It's like training our minds to be more resilient, more adaptable, more capable of responding with wisdom, rather than reacting with fear.
This is all starting to make a lot of sense, but I have to admit it's a lot to take in. Are there any practical techniques or exercises that can help us on this journey of mastering our thoughts and creating the lives we desire?
It sounds like we're talking about a pretty radical shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling like we're at the mercy of our circumstances or our emotions, we can actually choose to take control of our thoughts, and in doing so, create a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
But where do we even begin? Alan's book is so rich with insights, it can feel a bit overwhelming to know where to focus our energy.
You're absolutely right. It's a lot to digest. If I had to distill it down to one key takeaway, it would be this. Your thoughts are incredibly powerful. They're not just fleeting whispers in your mind. They have a profound impact on everything you do and experience.
Yeah.
They shape your character, influence your actions, impact your health, and even shape the circumstances you find yourself in. They create your reality.
It's almost like we've been given this amazing tool, but most of us haven't been given the instruction manual.
Right.
We spend so much time focused on the external world, our jobs, relationships, possessions, that we forget to cultivate our inner world, the source of all our power.
Exactly. It's like trying to build a house without a solid foundation. Alan's work is all about building that inner foundation, that core strength that allows us to create the life we truly desire.
So how do we actually start building that foundation? What are some practical tips for mastering our thoughts and harnessing their power? I'm ready to start putting this wisdom into action.
One of the most powerful practices is mindfulness. It's about becoming aware of your thoughts without judgment, simply observing them as they arise and pass away, like clouds drifting across the sky.
Is that like meditation? I've tried meditation before, but I always feel like my mind is racing a mile a minute.
Meditation is certainly a fantastic way to practice mindfulness,
Okay.
but it's not the only way.
Oh, okay.
You can bring mindfulness into everyday activities. For example, when you're washing the dishes, really pay attention to the feel of the warm water, the scent of the soap, the gentle movement of your hands, instead of letting your mind wander to your to-do list or replaying that annoying conversation you had earlier. Simply focus on the sensations of the present moment.
So it's about being fully present, not getting lost in worries about the past or anxieties about the future.
Right.
It sounds simple in theory, but I imagine it takes a lot of practice to actually quiet that mental chatter.
You're absolutely right. This is a practice, not a destination. But the more you practice, the easier it becomes to catch yourself when your mind starts to wander, and gently guide your attention back to the present moment. And as you become more aware of your thoughts, you can start to choose which ones to focus on.
So it's not about suppressing negative thoughts altogether. It's more about recognizing them and choosing not to give them too much power.
Exactly. When those negative thoughts pop up, acknowledge them, but don't let them take root. Imagine you're weeding your mental garden. Gently pull out those weeds of self-doubt, fear, and worry, and choose to plant seeds of positivity, courage, and self-belief instead.
That's a powerful image. It makes me think about the kind of mental environment I'm creating for myself. Am I nurturing a garden of growth and possibility, or am I letting it become overrun with weeds?
It's a great question to reflect on. And remember, just like with a physical garden tending to your mental garden requires consistent effort. It's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process of cultivating the thoughts and beliefs that will support you in creating the life you desire.
It sounds like we're talking about a whole new way of relating to our thoughts. Instead of feeling like we're victims of our own minds, we can actually become the architects of our inner world, shaping our thoughts and beliefs in a way that empowers us to create positive change.
You've hit the nail on the head. And that's the beauty of Alan's message. It's incredibly empowering. We're not just passive recipients of our thoughts. We have the power to choose which ones we nurture and which ones we let go of.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. I've always been fascinated by the power of the mind. But Alan's work takes it to a whole new level. It's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about understanding the profound connection between our thoughts and our reality. It's about recognizing that we have far more control over our lives than we might realize.
And that's the message I hope everyone listening takes away from this deep dive. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the creator of your own reality. And it all starts with a thought.
So as we wrap up, what's the one piece of advice you would give to listeners who are ready to embark on this journey of mastering their thoughts and transforming their lives?
Start paying attention to your thoughts today. Notice the stories you're telling yourself, the beliefs you're holding on to, the fears that are holding you back, and then gently, compassionately start to challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is it helping me create the life I want? If the answer is no, Radens, choose to replace it with more empowering thought. It might feel awkward or unnatural at first, but with practice, you can retrain your mind to focus on thoughts that uplift you, inspire you, and support you in achieving your goals.
Wow, what a powerful reminder. I'm definitely feeling inspired to take control of my thoughts and start creating a reality that's more aligned with my deepest values and aspirations.
And remember, as you embark on this journey of self-transformation, as a man thinketh is a valuable guide and companion. Return to it, often let its wisdom sink in, and allow its message to empower you to create a life of meaning, purpose, and joy.
Thank you so much for taking us on this deep dive. It's been a truly transformative experience. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us. We hope you've been inspired to take control of your thoughts and create the life you truly desire. Until next time, keep thinking big, keep believing in yourself, and remember the power to change your life lies within your own mind.